Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of A Healthy Dose of Fran. Today the Avatar returns in a video looking at one of the greatest villain groups in the whole of Avatar. No, it's not Ozai's Angels today. Today we'll be looking at the Red Lotus, but in particular their original plan for Korra in Legend of Korra, which was kidnapping her as a child. So today I'll be exploring what would have happened if Red Lotus had kidnapped Korra. So in Book 3 of Legend of Korra, we are introduced to the Red Lotus, an anarchist society set to be the rival to the White Lotus, going against everything the White Lotus stands for and being more about independent societies and independent living. Now they consider the Avatar to be the ultimate authority figure and plan to kidnap Korra as a child and later as an adult, kidnap her and force her into the Avatar state to kill her, so the Avatar would be no more. So Korra would be the last Avatar. Now, I'm not going to do too much into the killing of the Avatar because Hello Future Me, Tim Hickson did a fantastic video on that, which I'll link for you guys. Instead today, I'm looking at their motivation behind kidnapping Korra as a child and what would have happened if they had been successful with that kidnapping. From what it seems like in the show, the poison that they use in Book 3 is something that they didn't have at the start. So what did they originally intend for Korra as a child? And that's what I'm looking at today. Now, the Red Lotus is very much a philosophical society. They're similar to the White Lotus in that they have studied bending and spirituality and all these fantastic things that the world of Avatar provides, especially Zahir, the leader of particularly this group of Red Lotus members. Now Zahir is probably Mr. Spiritual in a way, more so than Tenzin and maybe even on the same level as Jinora. He has studied airbending techniques, he has studied philosophies and spiritual philosophies for the majority of his life, which, when he did gain airbending later on, helped him to understand the forms of bending and the spiritual side of it, even leading to him having the ability of flight later on. And so with this teaching and this belief for the Red Lotus, I believe that when they would have kidnapped Korra as a child, if they were unable to kill her in the Avatar state at that point, because as a child it's unlikely she would have been able to enter the Avatar state, meaning killing her would have been useless. It would have just restarted the cycle all over again and they'd have to search for the next Avatar and continue to kill the Avatar as they are reborn, which it's a lot of effort for people, so I feel like there's probably something that they weren't going to do. But what they may do instead is indoctrinate Korra in the way of the Red Lotus. Now, from what appears with the Red Lotus group, they travelled a lot throughout their time, learning and exploring and knowing that every nation has large areas of corruption, such as the fact that they knew that the Earth Kingdom was in tatters. The Earth Queen was a terrible person who treated her subjects as lesser than, similar to what we see in Avatar: The Last Airbender, but this has gotten worse. Corruption, crime, poverty, all these things have gotten worse. But how would the Red Lotus know that if they hadn't have been travelling the world? So by having Korra come with them as a child and showing her the way that the world is, whilst teaching them their lessons of philosophy and anarchy, I believe it's quite possible, especially with Korra being at 5 or 6 years old as she is when she is nearly kidnapped. A child that age is very easily susceptible to new knowledge and new influences. It's possible that she would have been, aggressive to start with because these are people that she doesn't know. But it has that sort of Stockholm Syndrome-like level in that after a while you begin to develop a bond with your captors. And in the case of the Red Lotus, they wouldn't have been unkind to Korra. At least I don't believe they would have been. If anything, they would have been desperate to teach her and desperate to help her see the world as it is. Broken. So by having Korra become more travelled and learned than she is in Legend of Korra, because the White Lotus were keeping her locked up. They weren't at that point, but from what we know from the show itself, she knew nothing of the world. She was trapped and isolated for a good 10-12 years of her life. But with the Red Lotus, she would be travelled. She would be knowledgeable of all the different politics, the societal runnings of every different nation and every different place. And she may have become even more of a powerful avatar because, as we know from the Red Lotus members, we have Minghua, a waterbender who doesn't allow the disability of not having any arms stop her from waterbending, instead creating the ability to use water as limbs, which is a fantastic use of her abilities. Then we have Pili, who is a combustion bender, possibly one of the most dangerous and fascinating and powerful combustion benders in comparison to Combustion Man in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Then we have Gazan, a lava bending earthbender, something that, as far as we're aware, previously was something only an avatar was able to do. Then of course we have Zahir, who at this point is a non-bender but is possibly one of the most intelligent and intellectual beings in bending and philosophy and spirituality as a whole. And in terms of Korra trusting, Unalaq, her uncle, was and would be still a member of the Red Lotus and an expert in spiritual bending. So who's to say she wouldn't have gone along with the kidnapping if her uncle was involved and joining the Red Lotus as they went on their journey, or meeting with them every so often to make sure that Korra was okay. With all of these fantastic sub-elements and powerful benders around her, who's to say that Korra wouldn't have developed more interesting and specialised bending skills, similar to as we see later in the series where she learns metal bending and spiritual projection in some form, at least with the giant spiritual avatar. Not avatar in terms of bending for it, I'm going to stop. But with all of these things, I'm going to sneeze. With all of this and her teachings from this group, I think it's quite possible that the Red Lotus's intention of abducting Korra at this point was to indoctrinate her, because what's better than making sure the anarchist dream can come into being than having the most powerful bender of all time believing in your vision? And if it comes to the end where they've been able to defeat all these leaders that were corrupt and not working and basically causing disruption across the world and disharmony with freedom for the people, once they're all gone with the help of the Avatar, depending on how indoctrinated Korra may be, it's possible that she'd even willingly enter the Avatar state as a sacrifice to stop the Avatar state and the Avatar cycle. So there is no all-knowing authority. There is no authority. And in this case as well, with the portal aspect in Vaatu, if they have the Avatar on side, would they even need Vaatu? Harmonic convergence may not even have occurred, or at least it may possibly have happened with Korra opening the portals, but just not with the intention of releasing Vaatu. Either way, there is so much to explore as to what the reason behind Red Lotus kidnapping Korra at such a young age could have meant and could have led to. And yes, it's very fanfiction-like in terms of evil Avatar and evil Korra, but it's just such an interesting way of looking at things, of an Avatar being raised in an environment that normally wouldn't have occurred. There are so many different ways that this could have gone, and to think about the reason behind the Red Lotus kidnapping Korra as a child, indoctrination to me seems like the most realistic reason as to why to do it at such a young age. Because who better to bring in a world of freedom than with the most powerful bender and powerful figure of all time? But what do you guys think? Do you like this idea of the Red Lotus planning or even considering indoctrinating Korra into the Red Lotus society as a child? Or do you think they were just planning to kill her as a young avatar? Whatever the case, let me know in the comment section down below. In general though, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you go to the description box down below, you find the links to all of my social media, my merchandise store and my Patreon. If you guys do want more Avatar content, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already. Again, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time.